Hey, what's going on everybody? Ninja Star here, and today we are back at it again with a Dragon Ball video. Now, I don't know if you guys saw my last Dragon Ball video, but I was basically talking about the popularity of Frieza in that Dragon Ball video, and I referenced the Frieza Saga quite a bit. And I figured, you know what, this next Dragon Ball video that I'm going to be doing, it would be interesting if I reference the Cell Saga next, because I think this topic that I'm going to be covering in this video is going to be very interesting to a lot of people. It's going to stir up some discussions and whatnot. So the topic of this video is basically going to be why the Cell games are so good. And the Cell games in general, it's a lot of people's favorite arcs. Many people prefer it over the Frieza Saga, Saiyan Saga. It's their favorite Dragon Ball arc in general, and I can definitely see why. However, if you look at it like in theory, like a lot of the explanations people give, I'm not trying to, diss anything or anything like that, but a lot of the reasoning isn't really as strong as to why it's their favorite. They just like it because, let's say, Gohan got a Super Saiyan 2 transformation, Gohan got the Father Son. It depends on like how big of Gohan fans they were if they prefer this arc. But I think I'm a Gohan fan, but I didn't just love this arc because of those Gohan moments. I loved it for other elements as well, which I'm going to be talking about this video because I think that in theory, the Frieza Saga will be better, but I think there are certain elements of the Cell Game Saga that make me like it more, and I want to express them in this video with y'all. So yeah, let's just jump right into it. To start things off, there was already enough build up towards this arc to begin with. Now, sure, we had already seen, like the Cell Saga, like when Cell was imperfect. You could even include the Android Saga, if you will. You could count those into action developing towards Cell, and then Cell announcing the Cell game. There was a lot of development and build up towards this arc in particular. And there was also a ton of development and build-up. I know Toriyama was writing this as he went, but there was also quite a bit of development, like foreshadowing for Gohan, like very early on in the Saiyan Saga. And even like when he fired against Raditz that one time, that was some very interesting foreshadowing to what Gohan would have been laterwards. Because even if Toriyama, like I said, was writing this as he goes, didn't have that great of an idea of how this was going to turn out, I could tell he still had that little thing in his mind that's like, I'm going to give Gohan something. Like, like this new Super Saiyan transformation. That's what he got. So I liked a lot of this development that this arc was building up towards. And Goku, they'd also reference Goku's like little death. Quote, death in the Namek Frieza Saga, because if you recall, for a little bit, people thought Goku were dead after he was fighting Frieza on Namek and decided to stay there just to finish that battle. Many people thought he died, and of course, Goku ended up being alive because he was with the Yardrats and whatever. But either way, that was some very nice, like, indication of what's to come. Like, Goku's actually going to die in the next arc and stuff. And I think that was a very interesting playoff right there. I don't know if Toriyama meant that completely as a coincidence. I don't know if that was just intentional, whatever. Either way, if it was foreshadowing, it was really well, because it shows, Goku isn't always going to be the hero at the end of the day. He had his time in the original Dragon Ball, but now he's kind of going to pass the torch. And for a while, we thought, once the Buu Saga rolled around, we thought, oh, Gohan's going to get the action. And, Goku came back, reclaimed his torch. That's a topic for another video. And this was the second time we saw Goku make a sacrifice, but in my opinion, I think this one was a lot more impactful than what went on Raditz, because Raditz's one was so fast-paced, but Goku was just like, well, bye guys. He was saying it to all the Z fighters, all his friends and whatnot, saying, hey, I'm sorry I have to go, but it's for the better. Gohan, I believe you. You were a great son. Stuff. He was trying to motivate Gohan, and this helped quite a bit, and I really liked it. It was such an epic way. Incredible scene overall, and then Cell comes back. There were a lot of tensions in this arc that I want to point out, because Cell, we'd already seen the extent of Cell's power, and seeing them actually have to win this tournament, otherwise the whole world's gonna die. And sure, we'd seen it before, villains are threatening and stuff, but we all knew since the beginning, we were like, okay, this is gonna be fun. But when we were watching it for the first time, we're like, I don't know if this is actually gonna end up well. And guess what? Goku ended up dying. They still won the tournament, but that was because Gohan, with the assistance of his father and whatnot. So it all boiled down to that. And let's talk about Cell himself for a little bit. I love Cell as a villain. I understand that Frieza is probably the better written one out of the two, but I don't know, something about Cell makes him so unique. Like this bio-android created with the sole will to destroy and just having fun with it, getting the better out of his, deciding to disobey his creator and stuff, just going off in his own route. I really like the element they played there. Cell's is like, quote, perfect android, perfect creature, perfect everything and stuff. I think that was a very interesting element right there. And some people say, Toriyama was going to end off the series at the Cell games, and it would be a fair argument if he did end it off at the Cell games. It'd be Even though, you know, they would have missed a ton of elements in the Buu Saga, you know, that's a decent ending point considering the final villain is the quote perfect villain that, you know, it's been building up for since the original. Even though Toriyama probably didn't even have an idea what Cell was going to be like, or even if he was going to have a Cell when he was creating the Red Ribbon Army arc, you know, it's nice they kind of reference something from way back then. Like, I like that they did that right here. They reference something from way back. Like, another thing I like about, this, I guess, sort of ties in a little bit with the previous, like, a little bit of the later parts of the Cell Saga, in a sense, but they also, like, tied in the hyperbolic, time, or Roman Spirit and Time. Sorry, to anyone who prefers sub-dub, whatever. You all know what I'm talking about. So, they brought in that thing from the original Dragon... Well, no, they didn't even, show, like, the Roman Spirit in Time, really, in that much in the original Dragon Ball, but the thing is, they showed, you know, like, some unforeseen... See, they showed some unseen stuff we'd never seen before. Like, we'd never seen Goku in those 3 years try to go into the Room of Spirit in Time and ended up almost dying, basically. So it's nice to say that they brought that thing in, something we'd never seen before, something that was already fits well with the storyline and stuff. That worked really well right there, but I really like that they brought back to the Red Ribbon Army stuff. That could mostly be associated with the Android Saga, though, depending on however you see it, but I really like that. It ultimately built up the perfect bio-android Red Ribbon Army, and one of the first few villains Goku ever faced is now one of their best creatures is now coming to hunt him down and stuff. And yeah, it wasn't even that, just ending it off. Like, we didn't have to worry about, you know, like, we had other problems at stake here. Cell had already gotten his perfect form. We'd already seen some Trunks action. We'd already seen some Vegeta action. We've already seen what these characters are capable of. And now, like, that was, like, the first debut. And here's, like, okay, so let's continue this fight laterwards in the Cell games. The Cell was pretty much announcing that. And, you know, we're seeing all this buildup. We're waiting for that anticipation. It's kind of like, if I could make an analogy, for anyone that's seen One Piece, I like to think of this as like the Enies Lobby part of what One Piece... Enies Lobby in One Piece, and then Water 7 was all the stuff building up towards. Enies Lobby was where, like, all the climax stuff started happening. A lot of character development for a bunch of people and stuff started going on. Like, a bunch of the big events went down. That's where the Cell games, like, when people think of the Cell Saga or the Android Saga as a whole, they think of the Cell games usually as their first thing. Because so many notable events happened here. Like, I think Goku vs. Cell is quite an underrated fight, because not only was it so well choreographed, it was like the first date. Well, it wasn't even the first fight, who am I kidding? But it was like the first real fight, because let's be real, we got to see Mr. Satan / Hercule, this debut, the Cell games, and it was really fun to see him. Even though, you know, we probably didn't like him the first time we saw him, we saw he'd be a greater part in the Buu Saga, and it's nice they played this in here. It was a very good introduction of the character. I couldn't think of any better time to introduce him. So that was a nice little element they added in there. You know, that was cool. But, you know, we just saw him get bodied. You know, we see really, like, these human fighters really don't remember the Z fighters, do they? They don't, like, acknowledge them. They refuse to. And they just acknowledge, like, these fakers, like Mr. Satan and stuff. So, then we see Goku versus Cell, which, oh my god, I love that fight. It's so evenly matched, you know? That little face-off they have. People may, like, dislike face-off. I can see where someone would dislike this for being too long. But personally, I love the tension it builds up. Like, they just stare each other in the eyes, one exchange a blow, and they keep going at it. And then it's so evenly matched. You don't know who's gonna win this. Like, you feel like Goku's gonna win, but at the same time, you feel like, oh no, Cell might actually take the cake here. And it was very interesting to see him, like, Goku's kind of being pushed down a little bit, and then when he says, I quit, you know, or I give up, and whatnot, it's quite a shocker. And then he's like, Gohan, it's your turn, why don't you want to go? Everyone's shocked at this, but Goku, he's been having this little faith, we saw earlier, he's been having quite a bit of faith towards Gohan, that his own son can do this, and I have my reasons why I believe. I think Goku is a good father. You could argue, you know, Goku is foolish for letting his own son get involved into something like this. Like, why would you let your own son die like this? But he had faith in his son, you know? He trusted him. He didn't just, like, push his son off to the side. He cared for it. He wanted his son to do well. It's in Goku's blood to be a fighter, and he can't just call him out for that. So that's another video for another day. I'm not even going to discuss that. Point of the story is I like that Goku passed down the torch to Gohan because he had more faith in him. And Goku, he even admitted himself he was going all out, but he still couldn't have a match against Cell. And, you know, he thinks it would be much better if Goku gave Gohan the chance to shine, to show, this is my son, this is what I've trained him for all this while. I see potential in him. I want him to succeed me. Because I'm not going to live on forever. I may be the strongest fighter, one of the strongest fighters in the world at this current moment in time, but eventually I'm going to die and I'm going to need a succession. That's what Gohan's for and stuff. I like that, he passed the torch to Gohan. We hadn't really expected it. And then, the Gohan versus Cell. I personally, the thing is with me, I like the choreography and what, the storyboard, the animation, whatnot, with Goku versus Cell more. But I will say this, Gohan versus Cell had much more of an emotional impact, much more character developing and stuff. We saw Gohan, he's like, he could sense ki like this. We never seen him like this before. Gohan was just observing all of this, everyone was shocked, did Goku just do the instant transmission Kamehameha, which, by the way, was an epic moment, legit one of my favorite Kamehameha moments ever, but that was a hasty, but, yeah, Gohan was able to be observing through all this, and we kind of seen a hint, a little bit of, maybe a little bit of dialogue to where Gohan was not surprised or anything like that. And, we're playing back, we're like, oh, Gohan really was paying attention, what do you know? And we see him go through this struggle of trying to beat Cell. Everyone's calling out Goku, why would you let this guy just take on Cell like this? That's absolutely foolish. And Goku's like, come on, I have faith in him. And there's even a point where Cell is bear hugging Gohan. And Piccolo's like, are you really doing this? How can you call yourself a decent father? Do you realize what he's going through right now? You have to be absolutely insane, Goku. And that's when Goku was like, yeah, maybe you are right and stuff. Cell just constantly having a full-on beatdown in Gohan and whatnot. And it's why do you think Goku picked this anyways? But you can still sense that Gohan has some sort of power that it's really adding to his character. He doesn't want. He even says at one point in the manga, "I don't want to fight. It's not really I don't like it to hurt people like this. I just want this fight to be over already." And that's where we see he can't take it anymore. This fight is so impactful. And then we see 16. He tries to stop Cell midway through, but then freaking Cell decides, what, I'm gonna just kill Android 16. And that's when we see, arguably one of the best Super Saiyan transformations. It's a lot of people's favorite. It's not my personal favorite, but it's still easily top 3 best. Gohan Super Saiyan 2 transformation. None of us see it coming. It's a beautiful scene overall. We see Gohan, he can't take it anymore. This peaceful, calm state child who's had rage built up in the past but hasn't really executed as much. He can't take it anymore. He's letting it all loose, and that's where we see the incredible Super Saiyan 2 transformation. And I love that scene because it's quite a turning point for Gohan, showing after he attains the Super Saiyan 2 transformation, we see him kind of go a little bit out of control. He's letting this power get to him. He becomes a complete savage, and yeah, it's wow. And he's just beating up on the Cell Juniors, which I forgot to mention. Cell Juniors, that was interesting what Cell did just to hold out the Z Fighters and a bunch of other people. I thought that was quite interesting. That also factored into Gohan getting quite PO'd a little bit. And that's when we see when Gohan beat down on the Cell Juniors, and when he was just messing with Cell, kind of torturing him, people were freaking out, Gohan, you're getting kind of hasty with this power, showing Gohan, as no matter how much power Gohan may have right now, he's still a child, and he's going to get carried away with stuff like this, so he needs to control it. And I think that was a fair reason for what happened. He let it get the better of him, even though he killed a bunch of the Cell Juniors. Cell ended up still trying to blow himself up, and it took Goku, and Goku tried to take him with him. And the two, and Kenkai and Bubbles and whatnot, they ended up dying as well, and Gohan's it wasn't really explicitly stated that much, but you could see right here that Gohan's wow, it was all my fault. I let you down, Dad, because I just completely, what Gohan did, he's I should have just killed him right from the bat, just to get it over with. This power let me get too much. So now it's Gohan. He can't rely on his dad anymore. He may be the most powerful out of Z Fighters at this very current moment in time, but he can't rely on his dad all the time. Now it's all up to him. The fate of the world is on his shoulders. Sure, there's Vegeta, there's Trunks, but we'd already seen that before. They really don't stand a chance. They're just kind of there for backup. And support, kind of motivation, and same with the other Z Fighters. But that's when we see, Cell, he comes back even stronger. This is horrifying. I have my opinion on the Falconer score, but with the Falconer score in the dub was fantastic. The way Cell came back, the do 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 do. It's such damn, like, I love the way Cell came back like that. None of us had seen it coming. It could have just ended off like there, like a hero's death, ending off the series of Dragon Ball, Goku dying right there. But, you know, Cell came back. Like, what are you guys going to do now? Gohan's already kind of burned out a lot of his power previously. And that's when we see, you know, them dueling it out. You know, Cell's becoming a lot more powerful. And then we see probably my favorite beam clash out of the entire show and whatnot. Cell versus Gohan. And Gohan, he'd already had his, you know, arm beat down after Cell came back and became extra powerful. Gohan's arm's all jacked up, so he has literally one hand that he can rely on and maybe his feet. But this is a beam struggle, you know, you can't just shoot key beams from your feet. Aside from the one time Goku did it in the original Dragon Ball, but that's a different story. Dragon Ball forgets itself sometimes. But Gohan, he has this one hand where he's supposed to do a one-handed Kamehameha against a super powerful Cell. The Z Fighters, they can't do much. They can try to hold it off. Compared to Gohan, this is like a literal battle of the gods. Like, it's funny. So, like, at that time. So, when we see Cell's kind of holding in on this struggle, but the spirit of Goku is still living on, you know, he's like, Gohan, come on, you're better than this, Gohan's like, you know, I can't do it anymore, I feel like I misuse my power too much. Gohan's getting too doubtful of himself, but that's when we see Goku, you know, he's like, Gohan, don't see that, you're my son, you're better than this, come on, you're better than this, Goku. I really love this father-son Kamehameha Goku moment, because even though you could say whatever you want about Goku being a bad father, but I love this moment in particular because it adds that, you know, Goku's passing the torch down to Gohan, saying he has complete faith in him, he's trusting him completely and whatnot. And I love this thing right here, the Z Fighter's constantly trying to motivate him and stuff. And then we see for a little bit, Cell's kind of still getting the better hand, but that's when we see Vegeta just comes in, you know? Like, we hadn't expected, like, Vegeta just comes in like, oh, I didn't see you there, and freaking tries to distract Cell. That's when Goku and Gohan, they get that last minute father-son Kamehameha push and kills Cell in such a satisfying and epic climax. And, oh my gosh, that was the battle alone, like, such a satisfying ending. Even if Goku died, the spirit of him still lives on in Gohan, and that's when we see him laughing while he's in his base form, and the Z Fighters, you know, coming down saying, are you okay? And they're recovering after their battle from the Cell Juniors, which, by the way, about that battle right here, I'm not going to go off too much in a tangent. It was interesting to see that, like, it's weird admitting this, but that was kind of a lot of the few screen time the other Z Fighters got. Like a little bit of the action, like sure we'd seen Ten Shinhan do those tri-beams against second form Cell, and that was a dope moment. And we've seen a little bit of it in Saiyan Saga with Krillin and whatnot. But overall, you know, the Z Fighters, they're having their full-on struggle, like the allies of this major guy Cell versus the allies of this other major guy's Gohan and Goku. They're just going all in. It's a brawl basically, and I love the way it was done and whatnot. Gave them a little chance to shine. Well, not only Gohan versus Cell isn't the only battle that's going on. There's this other fight right here it's very like everyone devoted to something right now. And such a great moment, such a great arc in general. And they just come down, you know, she's just a little upset that, you know, her husband's down. And then, of course, you know, Mr. Satan just comes in, taking the credit for everything that Z Fighters did. I didn't like him at this point, but I really liked him in the Buu Saga. But either way, you know, that was a satisfying wrap-up to this little saga right here. I loved it. I loved it so much. Such a satisfying, perfect climax for this amount of building up towards not only character development, but story development, stuff like this. That makes me love the Cell game so much. And I think had it not been for the Cell games in general, I wouldn't have liked the Cell arc as much. But, you know, it comes down to a bunch of other people like this arc as well. But I think their only reasons are, you know, I'm not trying to, like I said, I'm not trying to diss anyone, just for Gohan. I loved Gohan, he's still one of my favorite characters, but I think there were plenty of other elements in this arc that make it so memorable and whatnot. So yeah, this has been this long video. I don't really think I'll edit this one as much because, yeah, we're going in like 20 minutes. I'm probably going to cut out some stuff because it's getting, you know, I did repeat myself quite a bit, and I think I might want to cut out some stuff. But either way, for the most part, it's pretty raw. Like, you guys are seeing like my thoughts just at the top of my head. I figured this would be very interesting to share with you guys. What are your guys' thoughts on the Cell Saga? Is it your guys' favorite arc in Dragon Ball? It's not my favorite. My favorite is still probably the 23rd Martial Arts Tournament and the Saiyan Saga, but, you know, and King Piccolo. But aside from that, you know, I still love this arc to death. And yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this video. I hope you all would like to share your, what thoughts on this arc in general in the comments down below, because I would like to hear what everyone has to say about this. Because I know some people actually don't like this arc, and I think I want to hear from them as well, because why they don't like it. We can have an interesting debate in the comment section down below. But anyways, guys, thanks so much for watching. Ninja out. Peace, everybody.